What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. It is finally time that I introduce you to the Athleadership community. Now, I want to tell you a quick story. So, story time. As a player circa 2016-17, towards the latter part of my college days, big questions that I had to answer and ask myself were, how do I get paid and how do I make money? How do I play for longer? And how do I make more impact in the world? Those were the big questions that I was asking. Coming from a Division III background, which we'll get into a little bit later, those were the things that really I struggled with quite a bit, because a player or a professional with no personal brand, basically you're trading talent for money at the end of the day, which of course is how the professional game works. However, I'm going to show you a better way in today's video. Team contract is the funnel to essentially all of other opportunities and cash flow. And this is seen in whether it's sponsors and they're exchanging an audience who go for the team in exchange for some money. Same with fans. So the team gets entertainment, or the fans get entertainment, and then they have some sort of money exchange as well. And then, of course, it's a broker for opportunities. And so, as you can see, the player on the left-hand side, me as a non-personally branded player, is essentially waiting for the team to give me all of those things: sponsors, fans, opportunities. And it's the key to all the success. What that also means is there's no contract and no money. And many of you playing right now, whether you're at the youth level, the semi-professional level, amateur level, or the professional level, this is a regular thing every single season, right? No contract, no money. So a couple of the career struggles that athletes go through, and this is the case for myself as a footballer, and it was the case as well as other sports people who I talk to across all different types of sports. You have money stress, you have purpose and vision beyond sport. A lot of people have an identity in playing their sport or participating in their sport and competing in their sport. And so what are they without that sport, right? So that goes into the identity piece. Career longevity is obviously a big thing. So injury, no injury, how long can you play for, what opportunities come up. Value creation as well for the marketplace. Professional opportunities outside of your sport. So what are the things that allow you to make some money outside of the sport, if that's what you're interested in doing, which I, of course, was, because we weren't making a ton of money at lower division professional. Skills outside of football as well. So what else outside of your sports can you do, right? Can you advocate for yourself? Can you be on camera? Can you edit? Do you have other skills outside of just playing your sport? Future uncertainty as well. And then the pro athlete status. So making sure that you have that identity at some point, but you're not tied to that identity. And I think that goes for just being a sports person in general. And then, of course, you have community and team. So you struggle with not having those things when you're not in an environment that is built for those types of things. So how do we navigate these struggles? Well, we can crash out earlier than planned because money is too tight. And I've seen so many unbelievable players who are way better than me go from Division I, Division II schools to the professional game, and then they crash out because money's really tight and they can't get paid and they don't have the wherewithal or the knowledge to be able to build something for themselves on the side, or they just don't want to on the side. Or you can live, train, eat, work, and sleep at the training facility, I guess, if you wanted to, depending on the level of team that you're at, right? You can also work 2 jobs while playing just to support yourself. And then you finish your career disheartened, early, and probably with some negative emotions towards it. That was me between 2016 and 2020 before I started my personal brand. I worked at a restaurant. I worked at a winery. I walked dogs, random people's dogs. And then I also did some modeling. Yes, when I had hair in all of these photos. So yeah, that was me in 2019. So pretty crazy. These are all, number one, time consuming and not in line with what I wanted for my future. And the reason I say time consuming is because these all were long hours and they took away from the ability to train twice a day or to do weights in the morning and then we train with the team in the afternoon, or vice versa, right? Go and do my own stuff and recover. It's like if I'm working at a winery and I'm hosting people, I'm on my feet walking around all day. I don't want to do that if I'm trying to play professional soccer, right? And I came from a Division III soccer background, so no one was going to pay attention to me in the first place, right? I come from a Division III. Many of you will have opportunities at a JUCO or Division III or even Division II. Nobody gives a shit about us. And that's an unfortunate reality of playing football in America, is if you want to go professional, You either have to go abroad, which takes a shitload of money, or domestically, you have to be a Division I athlete, or even sometimes an athlete that didn't even go to college because you're a youth player who's just that good and comes straight out of academy. So my solution to this whole thing is personal branding, which you may know. So how does personal branding work? So we go back to this equation, right? So this team contract, and I'm just at this point, 2016 to 2020, I'm exchanging money for talent. I'm scraping by. I'm trying to find opportunities all the time. I'm constantly reaching out to people, even when I'm mid-season at a particular club. And that team has all the access, and they are the quote unquote gatekeepers. We talk about this a lot in the football world, gatekeepers to the audience, the sponsors, the fans, and the opportunities. Everything came through the club. But what if you changed the player, and using myself as an example, to a player with a personal brand? So a player with a personal brand all of a sudden has all these things, but you'll notice there's more dollar signs. And the reason there's more dollar signs is because you are more valuable to a team with a personal brand and a media following and a social media following. And this is very important to notice because this change completely turned my career around. And oftentimes, you as a personal brand, myself as a personal brand, I now had access not only to higher team contract numbers, but also to my own sponsors, to my own fans, and to my own opportunities. And we see this shifting in the athlete and the athletics world today, particularly with the shift from the academy setups in a lot of sport, in team sports, and grassroots to the marquee signings, right? You think about the Galacticos of the early 2000s. They signed a bunch of super famous, unbelievably kind of star fandom godlike players for that Galacticos team. Those were all players with personal brands. No, social media was not quite a thing yet as it is today. But all those players had personal brands. They were all over the media, and everyone knew who they were, and they all had a reputation. It's the same thing today. The players with the stronger personal brands go to all different areas of the world, and their fans, their individual fans, like we have here on the left side of this screen, all of them follow to different teams. More people today are following individual players because they can follow these people on social media, as opposed to following teams and being more of a team style of fan. And so if you notice, that's just a 3-to-1 ratio already, or a 300% increase in money making opportunities. Obviously, these numbers could be all over the place and even more than a 3-to-1 ratio, but you get the idea. Just base level, there are 3 avenues for monetization, if not a lot more, but I boil them down to kind of 3 versus 1 on the side of the team. For many athletes with personal brands, remember, this money usually wildly exceeds the money that you make from your team. So let's go through a few examples, because I thought you might ask, well, Noah, prove it. Okay, here we go. These, according to Forbes, are the highest paid male athletes, or these are a few in the top 10 who I wanted to. We obviously have Messi, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Shohei Ohtani, who's amazing to watch recently, by the way. On field, Messi makes $60 million. Crazy. Off field, $75 million. So 55.5%, right? Pretty cool. 63.5% for LeBron off field. And I'm sure he makes more than this. $85 million off field is probably an understatement. I would guess he makes a lot more than that. 64.1% for Curry. And then, sort of as an outlier because of the way that they're redoing MLB contracts now, we have Shohei, 97.6%. And he's structured a really interesting recent deal just before the filming of this video. This presentation was done like 3 weeks prior for another client that I had. So, but 97.6%. And it's probably even more aggressive with his new contract as well. Now let's go through the highest paid female footballers. And this is interesting because this was related to the World Cup. So we have Megan Rapinoe, obviously, and we have Alex Morgan, we have Puteas, and also we have Trinity Rodman. Okay. So 88% here. And yes, there's a whole nother conversation about the amount, like the full amounts of money that each of these players are making, right? 88% for Morgan, Rapinoe, 90%, Puteas, 80%, and Rodman, 65%. And Rodman's really young still, so obviously that number will only go up as we go. Here's myself as an example. So on pitch, before I had a personal brand, about 80% would come from the contracts that I played soccer for. So this is any sort of cash that I made in the team versus off pitch. The reason it's 20% and not less than that is because I included basically like summer income and off-season income when I would go and train players one-on-one or something like that. This is my stats, December of 2020. So right about when I started. I had posted here and there, had some subscribers, some views here and there on my YouTube channel, had been really not paying much attention to it. Same with the Instagram. So these ones, right? 1K subscribers in 8 months of posting once a week. So really not paying much attention. And then 2,500 followers from posting about 2 times a week. And this is literally just because I could put pro footballer in my thumbnails and titles and everything. And I was using that as an example, right? Now we change to the player with a personal brand, right? And this is 5 years later. And yes, I know that's a long time, but hear me out. 5 years later, shifted to 90% off pitch and probably even more now at this stage. Obviously, I'm not playing anymore. But at the end of my career, it was well over 90%. And August 2025, all of a sudden, we have a huge growth over the course of that period of time. So what does that say about having a personal brand for athletes specifically? Longer career, less money stress, stronger mental performance because you're not thinking about money stress. You're not thinking about career longevity because you're just able to enjoy it because you're not absolutely fiending for contracts all the time. Opportunities on and off the pitch. You have post-playing job opportunities, and you have impact while you play or while you participate in your sport. And this last one for me is close to home because I think being able to have impact, and you go to a pitch, and we played in Maryland a couple of years ago, and I had people come up from the Maryland crowd and say, "Hey, we follow your YouTube channel. This is awesome. We love your stuff." That is impact for me. That is really, really cool to have an opposing fan come up to you and be like, "Hey, you suck," or whatever, like, "We hate you. You suck," in terms of like on pitch, but we love your content and we really like what you're doing. So put simply, personal branding is the number one way to take control of your playing and your professional future, whether you're a current or a former athlete. So how do we translate this to the professional world? Well, professional career struggles, talking to those of you who are post-playing career, many athletes and professionals, and some of you, most of you, will probably struggle with similar things, right? Purpose and vision beyond work, money stress, identity, career longevity, value creation, professional opportunities, skill building, future uncertainty, work title status, and being out of a community or team, a really strong community and team. So we take this whole equation and we're going to take this and we're going to change them to a work contract, skill and personality, you're exchanging for money, and then professional with the personal brand. So same idea, but this time with some clients, followers and clients, and opportunities, right? This is fine. This is great. It's whatever. It's what most of the people, lots of NPCs in the world, but it doesn't maximize company growth, personal growth, professional growth for yourself. And you really end up in a dead end. And I've seen this with so many of my former pro footballer friends. So we can do one of two things here, right? Model number one is how I'm going to be operating in the world, right? So I have my own set of sponsors, fans, and opportunities. And then I get, if I want a work contract or another thing to do, if I want to go work for somebody at some point, I can command a lot higher, right? Massive boost to the company equity, which means the company reputation, because they're affiliated with me as a personal brand. This is a great example when I worked for Ultra Football, right? All of those videos that you see on screen that are circled, every single one of those was filmed, edited, and created by me, right? And it has most of them have my face on it or have my DNA. The pictures of me holding the boot and just the boot in the photo, that's very much my DNA that was on my website and on my Instagram and stuff. So people recognize it. The company, Ultra Football, was leveraging and is leveraging my personal brand to build their platform. This is what utilizing a KPI looks like. So a key person of influence, coined by Daniel Priestley. Great set of books that he's got. here's an example. So this is literally the stats from their channel. So monthly gain subscribers for Ultra Football on the top, and then gain views. That's where I joined. So you can see a massive uptick, not only in the floor, but also where the spikes go as well. So model number 2 is you take the same idea, except this time you have skills and content, and now you add leads, and it's simply you are an intrapreneur basically. So you're working within the company, funneling fans of your person as a personality within the company, as opposed to like a separate KPI. Now you're within the company, and you're able to funnel your sort of personal fans into the company that you're working for. Fans open doors to opportunities and turn directly into clients, right? And the cool thing is you can encourage other people in your company to do the same thing and to have personal brands within the company and be sort of intrapreneurs, if you will. If you already own a business, or you're like me and you were playing a professional sport, I would do option 1, no questions asked. If you're working in a business already, I would highly recommend number 2, or start with number 1 and build sort of on the side until the point where you're renegotiating the contract, and then it can look a little bit more like number 2, right? So how do you build a personal brand? So the core framework, and this is a very overarching theme, is the method that I use to go from just a basic player to a player with a personal brand. C stands for clarify. So it's your personality, purpose, and vision. These are things like identifying your personality, getting clear on your purpose, your values, your vision, your DNA, the feeling of the brand, the typography, and the colors, and actually the brand logo. So the kind of the fun things. Then we move on to organize, which is section 2. So section 2 is your position, your product, and your strategy. So this is your ideal customer profile, the product that you want to create, or the thing that you're going to sell to people, or just the value you're going to provide, the strategy that you're going to use, the market that you want to be in, the position in that market, the type of media you're going to use in your Halo and satellite platforms, and of course, the schedule with which you're going to post and be present online. Then we get to reach, which is your volume and consistency. This is your action stage. So this is where you start creating a ton of content. You're super consistent. You're constantly iterating and learning. You're networking. You're collaborating with people as much as you possibly can. You're going on podcasts, and you're really reaching out and doing a ton of outward-facing content. Then we get to E, which is the elite of the elite. This is the elevate section. Comes from one of my best friends, Moombi. So this is key partnerships and scale. So key partnerships and scale is when you have really good partnerships. This is like, hey, I just got a contract with Nike. That's cool. That's a key partnership. You have really amazing opportunities coming through the door. You are a key person of influence. You have new ventures that you get invited to be involved in. You have incredible value creation, and you're able to scale. So the core framework, again, clarify, organize, reach, and elevate. And that's why I created the Athleadership community. So the Athleadership community is where I get to teach you guys how to build a personal brand in a sustainable way, and in a way that actually just marries what you're already doing, whether it's playing your sport, participating in your sport, coaching, working with athletes. This is going to fit straight into your schedule, as opposed to being a total new full-time job for you. It's called brand image, media literacy, and future success. We build all of those 3 pillars. So join now through the link down in the description box below, and I look forward to seeing you guys very, very soon.